Can you hear me?
Brother, hey,
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all good. I'm all good. I was just getting the signal sorted out. I just had to connect to the Wi-Fi.
Oh, easy, mate, easy.
So, how's it been?
Oh, mate, I don't think it's been as hectic as it's been for yourself. How are you? How are you going? How are you settling back in?
Not too bad. It's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but it's still a bit bland.
Yeah, just boring, like coming back, coming back to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I'm just trying to get everything sorted to fucking like head back out there again. Obviously, not with the fucking military though this time. Obviously.
what's been like the main reason you're wanting to go back over? Just I guess tell the truth with the media, or
Uh, yeah, just that, but also because the year before, well, oh wait, yeah, the year before, I'm still fucking. I've just realised I've not been doing anything this entire year. I keep fucking. I've got that whole fucking like time gap of where I've just realised I can't keep saying the year before because it's not like that. Last year, like towards the end of the contract, I was like either thinking we're going to go into contracting or try and go in for journalism. But then the invasion happened and everything else followed with that. But obviously the Instagram fucking like blew up. Um, and then I realized like quite a lot of people actually like look to me for like information and like follow me. So I figured, well, I've wanted to do a bit of journalism for a while, especially conflict journalism, but I figured it's this is like an opportunity now to like go into it and like maybe evolve it.
yeah. Oh, there's definitely I think there's definitely an opportunity for you there, especially already with such a large following and like a trusted like backing as well. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. So I mean that's the plan, hopefully.
Do you have any
But
idea? Oh, you go.
huh?
You go.
I fucking knew. I remember when we were gonna meet up in Mariupol the day you were coming. Commander says you can't go. There's been an alert. We're not allowed to leave the position. I was like, fuck.
No, I remember, man, because I remember I was dead asleep because I got drunk the night before, and I was dead asleep in the back of this like fixer's car, and I just arrived in Mariupol, and I look at my phone, and you're like, "Hey, bro, something's happened," and I'm like, "Oh no!" And he's like, "You're like, I can't come." I'm like, "Fuck." No, as I walk around, and I'm walking around Mariupol on the 23rd of February, and then not to be known the 24th, and I'm like, "Well, I don't think Aiden's alive anymore." So, but who would know? I don't know. 6.5, 7 months later, you and me are sitting here. Jesus.
I didn't even expect to be out so soon. I was like, towards the end, I started to think that maybe they're actually gonna like actually go through with it because like the way I was thinking was that they would have like well, I mean, I was scared shitless like throughout the majority of it, but like I was trying to think logically. I was like thinking that okay, like maybe this whole fucking like threatening the death sentence and stuff, maybe they're just doing it for show, and they're gonna when it gets to the verdict, they're gonna be like, hey, we're not that bad, so we're gonna give you life in prison and whatnot. And when they did the verdict, I was like, what the fuck? How do you come back from this? They have to do
Mate, how did it feel when they gave you that death sentence?
this. Fucking shit. Because they'd always tell you from the beginning, like the first week I was in captivity, they said, "Oh, like, you're a mercenary. You know, mercenaryism is the death sentence." And I was like, "What? Well, I'm not a mercenary. There's no but in Donetsk you're a mercenary." And I would argue with them as like, "Yeah, but under international law, I'm not a mercenary." And then they would always turn around and say, like, international law doesn't exist here. You're a mercenary under Donetsk law. And I was like, Jesus, like if this is the way it's gonna go after everything I've been through, this is how I fucking die.
Oh, mate, Jesus.
Yeah.
And how was your treatment while in captivity?
The first few days of when I surrendered, when I first met the Russians when I went with my company, because like what we surrendered like company by company, and I'm sure you saw the video previously where the 501st like surrendered like en masse, and it was similar to that. We like came with our, I'm sure there's a video out there somewhere where you can probably spot me maybe. And then we got searched and they checked our documents and stuff, and they didn't say anything about me being British at that point. They were just like, the guys that like searched and like saw it was just like a bit surprised and just asked like why I'm here. I just said like my fiance is Ukrainian, and they just gave it back, and then we got loaded into the bus and got transferred over to DPR custody, which is where the fun began. And then we got taken to like some empty warehouse where they were processing us, and we were forced to stand in this like fucking ridiculous like position for like hours, and then one by one they were like fucking processing each of us, and then eventually it came to me. Gave him my military documents first, then gave him my veterans card, and then I gave him my passport. And on my passport I've got a Ukrainian cover, so it looks like a Ukrainian passport on like if you looked at it. But when he opened it, he quickly realized that something wasn't right, and then he asked me like in Russian, he's like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "Great Britain." As soon as I said that, like I got a fucking punch to the nose and like beat a few times, and nothing. It wasn't like beat, but it was a bit like a few punches to the face and whatnot. And then his officer stopped him, and then a few more like humiliations and like fucking manhandling stuff and some processing, and then I had an interview with some Russian soldiers. They were pretty alright, like pretty normal. And then later the KGB guys from Donetsk, it's the best way to describe them. They call it the NGB, but they're just equivalent to KGB. They came, and then like literally the first thing they said to me was like, "You and Shaun Pinner, sniper." I was like, "Oh, I'm not sniper." And he says, "Yeah, it's you and Shaun Pinner, sniper. He dead." And I was like, "No, I'm Ukrainian Marine." I was like, I'm Mortarman." "Oh, even better." And then after that, they put you back into the hall with the other Ukrainians. I was in this like warehouse. There was like 500 of us, like all in there, like of all the guys who surrendered. It was like all my battalion in there. Well, at least because when we surrendered, it wasn't like all of us. Like some of them tried to go out on foot, and then others tried to drive out towards Zaporizhzhia. And then a bunch of us just surrendered. So there was a shit ton of them in there, and there was like border guard and like national guard. And then later on, the KGB guys came back and called me out, put handcuffs on me, and then just like led me to a car. Pretty normal, but I knew what was coming because I knew I was being separated. Like I knew it was coming like from the start, like because I'm a foreigner, I was gonna go through some sort of like fucking bullshit. And then as soon as I got in the car, like they fucking like reversed it, like started driving out the compound, and then like they turned to me and like say to me in Russian, like, "Oh, now we're going to take you to be shot." So I figured like, okay, like I guess this is how I die. I didn't say anything to them. I just like ignored them and just pretended I didn't understand. And then we like drove for like 2 hours. But like during those like an hour into that drive, like I realized, okay, maybe I'm not being shot, but I think I'm being taken somewhere, and I'm probably about to get a beating. So like I had like 2 hours like to just like prepare myself for this beating that I know is coming. And then eventually we reach Donetsk and get out the car, and then we're met by someone else, and then he said something to me in Russian. I didn't understand anything he said, and then I asked him to repeat what he said. As soon as I asked him that, like he fucking like beat the fuck out of me a few times with the police bat, and then he also stabbed me like on the back here. I didn't know I was stabbed at that time.
What did he stab you with? Like a knife or?
I think it was like some sort of penknife or something.
Right.
But when he did that, like I didn't feel it, like which surprised me. I didn't even realize I got stabbed. And then he dragged me into the building and then continued to beat the fuck out of me with a fucking police bat on. And then he was like asking like all sorts of questions. He was asking like what my position was, like what rank I am, like how much I get paid. What else did he ask? He was asking just like all sorts of like fucking shit. And then he asked like, well, when he told me to take my clothes off so they could see the tattoos. And then they saw the Ukrainian trident tattoo, which I have on my left arm. They beat the fuck out of me for that. And then they saw my YPG tattoo, which got me another beating. And they like started beating me further with that, like interrogating me further with that, because they were like trying to figure out who I was with in Syria. Because for some reason these guys don't really know anything about Syria other than that the Russians are there, but they don't know the different groups there. And then you had like one guy who said he was in Syria, but again, he didn't seem to know a lot about Syria, to like from the way he was speaking. He had like a knife to my ear, like threatening to like cut my ear off if I fucking lied. And then eventually they fucking realized I was trying to say Kurdistan, like I was with the Kurds, etc. They still beat the fuck out of me again after that. So like they kept asking like all these questions, and just every answer just received the beating. And then there was like two other people in there as well. Like there was a female chick from my battalion, and there was like some other guy I've never seen before. So it wasn't until like at some point this guy who stabbed me, like he was the guy that like fucking said to me like, do you want a beautiful death or do you want a quick death? And then he told me to look at my shoulder, like when he was like pointing out that he stabbed me. So as soon as I saw that shit, I was like shitting myself, because I prepared myself for the beating. I didn't prepare, or I didn't expect that I would get stabbed. I mean, at worst, I thought maybe they might do some of the old school sort of like torture, like fucking maybe electrocution, or maybe something to do like some of the typical torture methods you hear of. Like I didn't expect them to like stab me. So as soon as I was stabbed, like I just fucking went into like fucking straight, like just trying to stay alive.
Shit. Do you know the fate of the female who was in that same room as you, or the other gentleman?
Say again?
Do you know the fate, like what happened to the other female in that room with you or the other guy?
I believe she's still in captivity, so I can't really. I don't want to say anything about her information, obviously. But like the place I was in, like it was like some sort of I don't know the best way to describe it. It wasn't a black site, but it was like one under. Like it's like the place that you'll probably get sent to before they decide to take you to a black site. From what I've gathered from speaking to other people, anyway.
Yeah. And why do you think that they didn't just kill you then? Like, I'm guessing, yourself as not some high-ranking commander, you didn't have enough information to, really give away anything massive. Like, why do you think they didn't just like, I know who that is, that's Cossack Gundi, shoot him?
Well, the thing was, I remember when I was in Mariupol, we got some of the well, every once in a while I was able to get on the Starlink. I would like see on Telegram, like there was like some Russian Telegram channel put a post out saying that I was wanted in Mariupol, that they were looking for me, which was pretty funny. Well, kind of funny, but kind of like, but
yeah.
I think because in between, like when I surrendered, it was on the 12th. And then we had the whole day of the 12th just doing the processing, and then we spent the night just in standing like fucking stress position like until the morning, and then that's when the Russian soldiers came to interview me, and then they had like some propagandist, like I can't remember who he was. He came and did a video, and then I think by that time they'd done their research once they realized they caught me and like saw the video I put out. about being alive and that we're surrendering. So I think they might have realized that they can't fucking just kill me, because if they do that, then there's the video of me saying we're surrendering.
Yeah. And what made you choose to be part of the group that surrendered? Because you also said there was people that tried to escape via car or go and fight it out.
So one of the main reasons of that, obviously, because we'd been there for like a month and a half already, you know, our ammunition ran out. We had no food. Enemy territory was 140 kilometers away, I believe, if I remember correctly. And from my time in Syria, like, I had seen like when like groups of like ISIS try to break out and like to basically like break out and like flee to their positions, and I just remember just seeing like the airstrikes like just demolish like any like sort of like breakout attempt and stuff. So I was like thinking that if we did that, especially with it against the Russian military, and like they've had like a month and a half of like digging in, so I knew though it was like a very, very high risk that you would probably either get killed or badly injured and captured. And then I realized, I spoke with myself. I was like, if I'm going to survive this, it would probably be better in hindsight to try and surrender officially in some capacity at what I thought at that time would be the best option. Because I knew if I went out on the trucks, there's a very high possibility that I would either get killed or I would get injured. And then when someone comes and they realize like I'm a fucking foreigner, they might just decide to kill me because like, hey, like I'm like bleeding out or something, like fucking he's a foreigner.
Yeah.
So I realized the best thing I could do was like just to surrender and just pray to fucking God that they fucking don't kill me, which I had at that point. I had it like at maybe 80-85% possibility that they could decide to kill me, but there was like the 15% possibility that they might not kill me.
And can you talk to us and describe, I guess, how that first month was in Mariupol, like fighting and shelling and just
so what happened was, obviously I arranged to meet you like the day before the invasion, and then we got the warning order that like something was going down, like we can't leave the position, we have to be ready. And then that later that evening they told us like to switch all electronics off, and basically to be ready. And then later that night the Grad artillery started working like on the Russian side. And then by 4 a.m., like it was all hell. Like we went out and did like 2 or 3 fire missions, but at that time it was also pissing it down with rain, so the rain was fucking terrible. Our position was terrible, because before we arrived to the deployment, like 3 months previously, this position we were in, it was like abandoned for a year. So the position like where the mortar goes, like basically was waterlogged, like it was fucking terrible. And so we had a very big problem with this position to start with because of the water level. So when we did our first fire mission, we went out, we like shot like 10 mortar rounds at like advancing like Russian troops like coming down the tree line on one of the positions like 4 kilometers away. And we then got told to cease, and then we ran back inside, and then we had Grad like hit. Well, they tried to hit our position, but they were fucking terrible, and they fucking couldn't pinpoint us exactly. So they ended up hitting behind us, because luckily we were like in a sort of valley, sort of crevice. So we were inside. We still didn't know what the fuck was going on. I mean, I knew like the war had came, but I didn't know to like what degree. And then we got told to go back out again, do another fire mission. I think we shot like 4 or 5 rounds, and then we had an abort, because the round didn't go off. And by this time as well, like the 120 was literally halfway in the ground just because of like how waterlogged the mud was, and it was like terrible. So then we aborted it, and then we like got told to go back inside again because we got hit with grad again. And then at this point, we're like, what the fuck's going on? So we're like, fuck it, let's just fucking turn our fucking internet on because they know where our position is anyway. Like they know we're here. Just to see what information we got, because we weren't being told any information. Like we were asking, hey, what's going on, and no one was telling us anything. And then that's like when we saw that like the whole full scale of invasion of like Ukraine had started. So, and then it wouldn't be till later that day we retreated like 3 kilometers back, and then after 3 days we eventually retreated to Mariupol, and then I think after a week in Mariupol we were surrounded. So that was pretty shitty when we found out. Well, I knew it was going to happen anyway, because I'd said from the beginning, like everything that happened, I said was going to happen. Like when I did a fucking prediction before the conflict, like everything. The only thing that I got wrong on this prediction was that they went straight for Kiev, which was like incredibly stupid. But like fast forward to like maybe the middle of March, like they'd been like shooting at us like with tanks. Oh yeah, so when we got to Mariupol, I switched positions because I didn't want to be in a mortar pit as a foreigner, getting captured by the Russians, because like the 120 mortar system is like classed as artillery. I already know there's like no love for like artillery, so I knew that if they fucking caught me like in a fucking pit with a fucking artillery, then they'd fucking most likely kill me. And they've done it to like other artillerymen. I've like heard them where they've just like straight up just killed people that was artillery. So I switched from that, and because at the time I was also filming my documentary stuff, I was like, if we get out of this, like there's going to be something that needs to be like documenting this. So I just fucking switched from that to fucking just trying to like document everything as much as possible. I had my camera gear I told you about before. So I was like just filming everything I could possibly like get. I was like pushing for like my command to like let me to get out into the city, because they hit the theater. Like they were like just like the amount of like artillery they were using on the city itself, like just completely bypassing like some of the military positions and stuff. Was absolutely insane. So we like from my position, we were in like in direct sight of the like Russians, and they could directly see us. Like they would shoot at us with the tanks from time to time. But like the majority of like the artillery, like the grad, like they're driving like pretty close. Like it's like super like weird. I never really like thought they would do something like that, but they used to drive the like grad like maybe 5 kilometers away, and then they'd just like just shoot them, and you'd be able to see where they're shooting from, and then you'd like see it and hear it go over, and then it would just like go into the city center behind us. So there was like a shit ton of it. But the other thing as well that was interesting, their artillery is pretty precise sometimes, but like the vast majority of times, like it's pretty shitty. Especially with the airstrikes as well. The airstrikes, the vast majority, I don't think they have any guided munitions. Like all the like airstrikes that I've witnessed, they were all like unguided, like bombs and stuff. And throughout the vast majority of this, I was like just trying to record everything. I was like trying to document the guys like working, like building the vehicles that we were planning to like try and break out to get to Zaporizhzhia. Like there was like we had a shit ton of wounded. I was like filming. I was basically doing something that would like maybe if we got out of this, like I might be able to like use it to like tell the Ukrainian story, and then also like at the same time when I would get onto like on the Starlink, I'm sure you saw the video when I made the video like about how like Russia's like using the artillery on the city limits and stuff. I was trying to do stuff like that to try and bring awareness and like attention to Mariupol. But like towards the end of March, that's just when it started getting like really bad. We eventually just like ran out of food like a week, like in the first week of April. And by this time, that's when like the artillery and like airstrikes, they just like pumped up, and it just got to the point where you couldn't go above like ground anymore because it was just too dangerous. Like every time you'd go up on the ground, like there was always like artillery hitting somewhere, or someone was watching, waiting for someone to like be spotted. I nearly got killed a few times just trying to go in to do something as simple as taking a shit.
Yeah.
So like it was like pretty crazy in like the last week before we surrendered. And then like back to like when you're saying captivity, like the first month in captivity, that was the hardest because I was in that place, and as I said previously before I surrendered, I know they released a phone call where I spoke to my friend and told him that we're surrendering. And like one of the first things I said to him is that they're going to use me for bullshit propaganda, and I only said that because from how I thought about it is my social media, like you'd be stupid, like from a logical like standpoint, you'd be stupid to not use that. If you caught someone that was like well, the way they said it was, they said I was a famous blogger. That was like one of the first things they said to me when, like after a few days in captivity, when the KGB guys came to me. As soon as they said that, I knew exactly like what they were trying to fucking like go for. So I knew what they were going to do. And then back in that place, I spent like 3 weeks on one piece of bread a day. We had like 2 bottles of like 2-liter like water. We had to share that between like 22 of us at one point. I think the highest it got to in this like super tiny cell was probably like 30 people. No windows or anything, so it was like super hot.
And how was the feeling? How was everyone else there? Were they, I guess, scared shitless? Were they?
Yeah, so this place I was in, they would come in and take you out like at any time in the day or any time at night time. They'll just like beat like random people up, like they'll just beat the fuck out of them. I was like mixed in. There was some guys from my unit in there, and then there was like civilians in there. And it was basically where they investigate people and stuff, like to find out if they are who they say they are, or if a civilian that's got any connection to any like fucking like Ukrainian organization. They find out stuff like that, or they just like, if you speak Ukrainian and don't speak Russian, they'll just fucking fuck you up just for being that, and they'll just say you're a nationalist. So there was a shit ton of stuff they did in this place. Luckily, or at least I would say I got lucky in this sense, because when they found out the social media stuff, like I think it was the second or third day, the KGB guys came and they said like, "Yo, you're a famous blogger," and then they like showed me my Instagram and showed me my Twitter and stuff, and talking about how I was a propagandist for Ukraine, and how I told all these lies. And then they showed me some of the stuff I was making back in that last year, when I made some like slide posts about some of the commanders and stuff, which was pretty funny in hindsight, considering like the year previously I never realized it would go to like fucking being used against me.
Mm.
But at that point, like I think they realized with being British and also just the social media side of it, they realized that they could probably just fucking exploit me because of it and just fucking use me for propaganda. So thankfully, I didn't get any more beatings after that. They told me to make all these like phone calls to like government departments and stuff, and then obviously we had the first the first propagandist come. I think his name was Rudenko. I can't remember. He was like some Russian propagandist, and that was the famous. Well, wasn't famous, but it was the most like well known like photo where I've got like the big cut on my head and I'm just like completely like fucked up. So like he did this interview with that guy and he was just like telling me all this stuff. Like every time there was this interview, there was always the guy who like stabbed and beat me like nearby. So like so whenever I did stuff, like he wasn't that far away from me. And also, as people already know, because I've had this account where I like inform and like try to educate people. Like I know my stuff about the Ukrainian conflict, I know my stuff about the people involved, and then my stuff about all the Russian propaganda and stuff. So when these guys would come, they would ask me all these like ridiculous questions, like like how Ukraine is all this and that, and they would always like try to get an answer out of me. And I just like if you notice in the first video, like I was like talking like really slow, talking like in a weird like sort of way, like talking retarded English if it makes sense. Because a lot of the stuff I was like trying to like think in, like I was like speaking slow and I was like trying to think like slowly, like what would they want to hear, and at the same time I was trying to do it so it didn't come across where I seem like I'm actually saying it untruthfully. There was a lot of stuff that I said with my family before, like if I ever like scratch my nose like this, like it's one of my indicators. I said that to my family before. But there was a lot of other things that I tried to like do that would like give people a hint that like this isn't what I want to say. Like the stuff like looking at the people who are in the room. I think from what I've seen from some of the videos where they uploaded of me, I was like looking in the comments, like a few people picked up on that, thankfully. Or there was like sometimes later on when they decided to do the YouTube stuff, they picked up on me that I was like reading something, because before you'd do the video, they would tell me like this list of things that I have to say, and I was like, I'm not going to remember that. I need to write it down. So I'd write it down and I'd just like read it, and it'd just be above the phone. You know, there was like a lot of like also like psychological. I can't think of the word. Maybe psychological like manipulation and like psychological. What is the word? Is it manipulation where they try to scare you with false information or something?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's sort of just psychological warfare against you. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was like, I mean, there wasn't. I didn't get beat any point after, apart from when I went to the new prison. Like during this like first 3 weeks, like the only time I got beat like was the first time, which was like super bad. I was like in and out of consciousness, of being stabbed, obviously. And then obviously I think those KGB guys, when they realized the propaganda value, they were like, we need to keep this guy alive, obviously, because of the media frenzy that was going on. From what I saw, as far as what I can, as far as I can make out from my like opinion from looking at what the news was like, I got captured. Because I look back on it and I was like looking at like everyone was like talking about fucking about the capture and stuff. So I figured that might have had some part to play. And then they realised like the propaganda value in that. I mean, what do you think?
I guess if I were in their shoes, mate, you're a massive value of propaganda, and that's where when I first found out that you got captured, and then especially when I heard you got the death penalty, I was in two minds. I was like, oh, like I wouldn't be surprised if they killed you, but at the same time, I'm like, the value of a POW of someone with your I guess social media presence and following and whatever, I'm like, you'd use that to your advantage. At least first, you'd use it to your advantage.
Yeah,
And even until the day you got released, I was talking with some guys, some mutual friends of ours, and it was always like, just don't think it's going to happen. It just seems like too valuable of an asset. Like I also was very surprised when they released you. I thought they would have held
yeah,
on to at
same.
least the end.
I mean, once I got sent to after this 3 weeks in this like I don't know how to compare it. There's no way to compare it. It was just full of like fucking torture and stuff. Like on not that I was like directly tortured, but like the other guys I was in the cell with, like they'll get fucking the fuck beat out of them. Like they'd take guys out at like in 2 a.m. in the morning, and then bring them back like 5 hours later, like just having the shit fucking beat out of them. But once I got to the prison, and then they started picking up on doing the mass fucking propaganda stuff. Like they were doing it like week after week, sometimes even coming like 3 or 4 times a week. And by this stage, I essentially just like turned my brain off and just realized if I'm going to get through this, I've just got to fucking switch off and just fucking try to get through it. And as well, when we had this like whole court case coming up, and then the whole verdict and then death sentence stuff, I kept like trying to convince myself. I was like trying to talk to myself logically. I was like having like some debates. Well, not debates, just more like trying to reassure myself. I would say, like there's no way they could do this. Like it'd be political like suicide. I mean, well, not internally, but like if they ended up like killing any of the foreign, like, I mean, I'm not trying to like make it sound like just because I'm a foreigner, it's like it makes us like priority, but like in the world of like geopolitics, like a foreign citizen being executed is like a pretty big thing in regards to like politics. So I was like trying to like work out there's no way they would actually go through like killing 2 British citizens and a fucking Moroccan citizen. And I was like thinking like this is surely this has got to be a scare tactic. Maybe this is like them trying to get Britain to contact the DPR officially through maybe a phone call or something, and then the DPR will turn around and like, hey, Britain has recognised us as a really independent country because they made contact. And then later on, like by the end of mid September, like I honestly thought like, because by that time our appeal process had finished, we hadn't heard anything. There'd been no communication whatsoever. Like we the only time we saw our lawyer was at the investigation office at the court. Like in between that, I never saw my lawyer once. Like they used to say I was in contact with my lawyer. Like that was total bullshit. We didn't see any of that guy.
Yeah, right.
And then obviously the day came when we were released, and like the day before that, I was like complaining to myself that we're probably going to be here for like maybe like 3-4 years, maybe even longer if they don't shoot us.
Yeah. And how did that release look? Like when did you get notice of that you were going to be released? And then how did that sort of process go from there?
So they took us out. So I was in the cell for like the past 2 months. I was in the cell with my Croatian friend Prebek, who was one of the other foreigners in my battalion who got captured. He hadn't been sentenced yet. He went to court on, I think it was August or July, But when they were in court, all the foreign guys that he was with, because those guys, they were in a different prison to us. So in this prison, it was just me and this Croatian guy, but they were all together in a different prison, but in the same cells next to each other. So they got time to speak and stuff. And Shaun, who was with me on my court, he was in one of the cells with one of the guys who was going to court. So Shaun basically told them like everything of what to expect and stuff. So they prepared the fact like this guy like Shaun helped him prepare like to basically make the fucking DPR look like right cunts. And so when they went to court, all the press was there for some reason. I don't know why, but they said like all the press were there like waiting for them. So when they're in there, they just like turned around and like just told them the truth about like fucking how they've been doing stuff, how they've been beaten and stuff. Some of the guys like they were forced to say stuff that they didn't even say. You know, the testimonies, for example, like we would say one thing and then they would like change it and like make it say something else. So that they got lucky in that regard, because like compared to like when me and Shaun and like Ibrahim went to court, we didn't know what to expect. Like we were like totally like, this was, I'd never heard anything about a court for like fucking like POWs like before that. So I was like really unsure of like how this would turn out. And then at one point in the court, like they asked us if we agree with the charge for like mercenaries, and like I said to Shaun and Ibrahim, like, plead not guilty. We're not mercenaries. Like under international law, we're not mercenaries. So we pled like not guilty, and as soon as we said that, there was like all this like commotion. And I was like, what? And so this is your final like decision, and this is okay. You should speak to your lawyers after. And then I was like, what the fuck? And then our lawyers came over and it says like, why did you say that? And he says like, what do you mean? Like, we're not mercenaries though. And he says like, how are you not mercenaries? He says, under international law, we're not mercenaries. And then again, he said the same thing, like, international law doesn't exist here. You're mercenaries under direct law.
Right. So do you believe the whole trial process was an absolute sham, that there was no, I guess, legal due course? There was no, it was just...
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was just a kangaroo court.
Yeah. During this process, was there anyone who did help you out? Was there any, I guess, people on the DPR Russian side that, I guess, were kind or nice to you or help you out? Was there anyone who had empathy?
Not in official capacity, but there was a few people that like one of the guards like said like, he says like, I feel bad for you guys because like you guys aren't mercenaries. I've seen mercenaries. You guys aren't mercenaries.
Yeah.
So there was like one or two, like from time to time you'd meet like some DPR guy that like you could tell was like a good person. Like he like the vast majority of like the prison guards and stuff I met, like they were really sadistic. Like they enjoyed like beating people or enjoyed just causing unnecessary pain and stuff like that. But like from time to time we'd meet like one guy who was like pretty alright. Probably if he's probably only serving because his family's here or something similar like that. He probably would leave if he could, but obviously couldn't. So there were like a few, but like the vast majority were like super nationalist or like super sadistic and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that I guess comes in line with a lot of what the Ukrainian sources were saying about yourself. But when on your time of release, there was, like, through the Russian Telegram chats, the Russian stuff, a lot of people very, very unhappy that you were being released. Was there any guards there who were like, we can't let this guy go?
Not really, because in the prison I was like in this prison for like 5 months, and even though I've been in this like one post for 5 months, so I pretty much knew all the guards like to a degree, like not like knew them, but like they had like shift patterns. So like on certain days you'd know which, like we had nicknames for like the guards. There was like one guy we called Treason, because every time he was on guard, he would shout in the hallway like Treason, which is like 3-4, and when he shouts Treason, everyone in the cell block has to start singing the Russian anthem, and if you don't sing it, he'll like come in and beat your ass like, as punishment. And then there'd be like one guard who was on one guard shift. He was pretty all right. Like he was just like working a day job. Like he just wanted to do his job and go home basically. And I remember one time I got taken out to do propaganda. I was like waiting to be taken back to my cell like after it finished, and he was like in this room with me, and it was like the only time it was so weird. He just started talking to me, but he started talking to me like normal, which was like really weird because you're not allowed to look at the guards. Like you always have to keep your head down, or they put a bag on your face. And he started like, he just sprung up a conversation with me while we were alone, and he was just like asking like, do I want to go home? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what's waiting for you at home? I was like, well, my fiance and my family. And it was like really weird, because when you're in the cell block, it's just total intimidation. Like you're treated like a dog. Like, every moment in that place, you're always treated like worse than a dog. But like this is like one part where he was like really not kind, but like just really like normal in the way he was speaking to me, and it kind of like took me off guard a bit. And then we would go back to the cell, obviously, and then it just go back to normal where you just treat like shit, basically.
Yeah. Can you run us through how you actually then found out and left the DPR?
So on the 20th, which was a Tuesday, I think, around like lunchtime, like they open up the door, and when they open the door, you always have to like shout Slava Russia, Slava Russia, Slava Russia. Then you'd say something like Akhmat Sila, and then Donbass Sila, which is like glory to Russia 3 times, and then the strength of Donbass, or the strength of Akhmat is like some Chechen commander.
Right.
And then you lay down, and then they shout whoever's name they're taking out. They shouted my name, so I got up. I thought I was being taken out to do more propaganda. And then when I got outside, they put the bag on my head, and then they shouted my Croatian friend's name, and he got up, and I started shitting myself because the last time they took both of us out was when they took us to get interrogated, and you could just hear a bunch of people getting beat and stuff. And then we got taken back because they didn't have any translators that could translate, thankfully. So we thought that was what we were going to again. But we went past the place where we get taken for like interrogations, and then they took us to some part of the building I've not been in before. And then when we get in there, like the whole attitude changes from like being in these stretched positions, and they take the bag off our head, putting us in this cell, and then they take us one by one like out, and we do this video where they basically tell us like we've been fed and they've given us water, and then they make us like sing the Russian anthem, and then they took us back in. And when I was back in this cell with the Croatian, we heard one of the guards go up to the cell that was next to us, which had like 30 like Ukrainians in it, and the guy was like saying like, you guys are not gonna like pick up a weapon again, like you're not gonna fight anymore. And like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I turned to my friend and says, dude, did you hear that? Like, did he say what I thought he just said? So like, as soon as he said that, I started like thinking, is this what I think it is? And then I'm like just telling myself, don't, like, maybe I misunderstood, like don't get your hopes up. And then some time passes by, and then at some point, like I hear one of the guards like talk to another guard, and he was like, what's going on? And I hear him say, oh, it's just for exchange. And then I fucking like, my heart starts racing. I'm like, fuck, is this actually fucking what I think it is. Like, is this actually happening? And then again, I'm like, stop. Maybe it's just something else that I don't understand. And then they took us out. We did some paperwork, and like one of the guards was like saying to me, "This is like, so you're not gonna fight in the war anymore." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna go home." And then that gave me an indication of what this might actually be. And then we got taken into this truck. They duct taped our arms, and they duct taped like around our head, put us on this stress position on the back of this truck for like a few hours, and then they took all the foreigners out of this truck, because at the time it was like all of us, like 10 foreigners and a truck full of like Ukrainian guys. They took the foreigners out, put them in a separate truck, and then we were put in this other truck, and they took us to Rostov, basically, to the airport, where we were put on the plane and like sent to Saudi Arabia.
And how was that feeling when you knew, when those wheels came up on the plane and I guess you were free?
It was pretty crazy, because I still couldn't actually comprehend that we were actually like free. I was like, Jesus, like, is this literally how we like finish this chapter? Like, we get out of fucking, they don't kill us.
Yeah. And
like literally like less than like 24 hours previously, like we were just like treated like worse than dogs, and now we have this like sudden freedom to do stuff.
yeah. And what was the exchange? What was given in turn for giving you back?
Well, as you saw, I think it was like 255 like Ukrainian POWs in exchange for like 55 like Russian soldiers, and then Victor Medvechuk. And I think a vast majority of it was Victor Medvechuk, because like from the very beginning, the Russians were like saying to me that I need to ask and need to tell that like Ukraine needs to give Victor Medvechuk for me and Shaun Pinner. And then eventually 55 like Russian soldiers and Victor Medvechuk for like a bunch of Ukrainians, 10 foreigners who they said they weren't going to exchange, and they were all going to like be sentenced to death and be executed. So I think a large majority of it was Victor Medvechuk.
It seems like in that swap that it almost seems that Russia had the power in this and they got like the short end of the stick and lost face in it. It just seemed weird to me when it all happened. I was like, why? Like, you'd think they would have asked for more for that amount. It just didn't seem like the 1-for-1 swap. I get Victor is a largest character, but it just seemed weird to me.
Definitely, they definitely lost a lot from it. Like, because I remember the day after, like, I was like, when I got a chance, like, people were like, telling me like all the Russian like propaganda channels have all been silent, or they're like kicking off about that they've just exchanged all the foreigners. So it was pretty funny in hindsight that they decided to do this, and I still couldn't. I mean, not that I didn't want them to do it. It's just that I just couldn't understand the logic in it.
Yeah, that's what I struggled with as well. I didn't understand the logic of getting 50 and 1 for 250 and 10 foreigners.
Yeah, because
it just didn't make sense.
The way I was looking at it is, if they weren't going to kill us, the way I was looking at it, they would want to drag out the propaganda for as long as they can. So maybe they decide to like release me and Shaun Pinner first, get rid of the 2 guys that are on death sentence, and then also release Ibrahim. And then when the guys later go to court, they'll be like, okay, we'll give you life sentence, and then they slowly like drip feed like the foreigners via exchange, like over a prolonged period, and then still be able to pump out propaganda. But then what was also interesting was the fact that a week later they decided to do the referendum.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because under the so-called like the next law, we're mercenaries, even though under international law were not mercenaries. And the other interesting thing as well, Russia actually recognized that we weren't mercenaries. My Croatian friend who served in my battalion, he went to see the Russian investigator. Well, the Russian investigator came to interview him, and he interviewed me previously as well. And one of the questions he asked me was, do I have access to my military contract? And he said, if we can get your military contract, then it will work out better for you. And at that time, like I was like shitting myself because I didn't know why he needed it, because it was before I went to court. So I was thinking maybe they're trying to get something to prove that I'm a mercenary or something by their standards. And so when I finally met my Croatian friend, when he got put in my cell, he told me that he'd seen the same Russian investigator, and they found his military contract, and they changed his status on the. So there was two criminal cases. There was the criminal case by the DPR for mercenaryism, and then there's the criminal case by the Russian Federation for mercenaryism. And the Russian Federation case for my Croatian friend, because they found his contract, they actually changed his status from accused of being a mercenary to being a witness to mercenaryism.
Right.
So essentially they said, like, okay, you're not a mercenary because you've got a military contract.
Yeah.
So it's like super interesting that happened, because they still continue to try and say all this stuff that we were mercenaries in their propaganda, and you still got countless like people that still believe this propaganda. It's crazy.
Yeah, because that's what I sort of put together in my head, and I could have been wrong on this, but I was thinking, because the referendum came a few days to say maybe a week after you got released, that I was like, maybe they were prepared to execute you under the DPR, but once the DPR became, I guess, Russia through the referendum, then they couldn't cut the backlash of then the Russian Federation executing a British citizen. I'm not sure. That's sort of how I put it together.
And not only that as well, but also if we were there when they would transition to Russian, and legally, like under international law, they would have to accept us as POWs, like the Russian investigator said, like, if you've got a military contract, you're not a mercenary.
Yeah. That Russian investigator sounds like he was almost not on your side a bit, but almost like he was somewhat, willing to bend.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a nice guy. So I spoke to some of the other like foreigners. There was one foreigner who I'd never met in my life. I never spoke to. I didn't really know anything about him apart from what I'd seen in the Croatian guys like court documents. And that I met up with him recently. He was like telling me like when he saw this investigator, he said that I basically like snitched him out, like ratted him out, told him that he was in Mariupol and all this stuff, even though I had never met this guy in my life.
Shit.
So like it was like weird. It was like weird because like this guy was like nice like with me and the Croatian guy, but then other guys like his attitude changed and stuff. So it was like really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting time seeing that, and it's been a weird war seeing it unfold all on Telegram and all live pretty much. It's been incredibly weird seeing like minute to minute updates even on yourself as it went, and it seemed, I guess, it seemed bloody surreal for me sitting here and
Oh yeah, I just need to clarify. A lot of this I'm just like breaking down, like just to try to keep it like super simple. Otherwise, there's like so much like other things like to talk with it, but it would literally go on for hours. Obviously.
Yeah. No, mate. Look, I appreciate you just having a chat and going over it. I'm sure, over the next while and your beginning of YouTube and all this stuff, that it will all get down into specific.
I mean, that's the plan. because I've got the camera equipment now, so I'm planning in the next few days to do like a breakdown video of what happened and stuff. I'm gonna try and get access to my Cossack Gundi YouTube account. I just can't remember what my email was, so I'm gonna see if there's any way to contact YouTube to see if they can fix that. If not, I might have to just set up a new YouTube.
There is a way. I'll send you a video after this of a way to get in touch with YouTube. How many of the guys do they still have that I guess you were with as far as POWs?
As far as I'm aware, I believe the vast majority of my battalion is still in captivity. And the vast majority of people that were in Mariupol are still in captivity. I mean, they've been releasing a few people like every now and again, like throughout the past year since we were captured. I think the one that I was on was the biggest like prisoner exchange they did. I think the one before that was maybe like 150 prisoners. So there's definitely a large amount of like my guys like still in captivity. So I'm hoping like in the future there's going to be more prisoner exchanges so they can get released.
Yeah.
Because even though my conditions were bad, like it was like nothing compared to like some of the conditions that the other guys are going in. Like, because like where I was with on my post, there was like a couple of like different Ukrainians and like different like civilians and stuff. And there's also my battalion commander who was on the same post as I was. He got released with me. So like on our post, we had our food was okay. They fed us like 3 meals a day. I mean, it wasn't the best, but like, you're going to eat it regardless because you have to eat it. But there was like other like prisons where they literally would starve you, or like on one of the posts in this prison, they would basically give you like 30 seconds to eat, just from what I heard from one of the other prisoners. Or there was one post where you're not allowed to like sit down at all. You have to stand up the entire day, like from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Because in my prison we had like a strict regime, so you weren't allowed to like lay down. You couldn't go to sleep. You basically had to sit on this like tiny little stool, and sometimes you'd be in this like cramped like 2-person cell with like 4 or 5 people. So you'd have to just stand up like all day. You wouldn't leave this cell. Like the only time I ever left the cell was for like propaganda or when we were going to court. So I mean, you weren't allowed to, they didn't take you to take to the shower, so you had to like use the sink to clean in whatever way you could. I mean, you had a shitty little toilet. I mean, it was basic, but like it wasn't by any like standard good. And then you also had you could always hear people being tortured like every day in the week, so that's how you knew when like new people were arriving. One of the cells like next to me, like I heard someone get beat to death by one of the guards.
So they killed them.
Yeah, pretty much. The guy literally was in like the prison custody for like 15 minutes, like on record, and then by the time he got to his cell, because when you leave the processing area, you have to crawl, and they put a bag on your head. Like every time you leave the cell, there's always a hood on your head. So this guy had crawled like just down the hallway. It's maybe like 100 meters, but like it took him like 20-25 minutes, because when you're crawling, they beat the fuck out of you as you crawl to your cell. So by the time he got to his cell, he was pretty fucked up, and then you could just hear like this guy telling him the rules and stuff. And I think the guy must have like just went unconscious, and then he like got pissed at him, said he was sleeping, and just beat the fuck out of him again. And then a few like maybe 5 minutes later, like the guys who were in the cell room started banging and shouting for the guard to like get his attention that they need medical help. Obviously the guard was like off the post, and then like later on, like when they came, they got the medic, and then the medic came and just like pronounced he was dead.
Oh fuck! Was that like a common thing, or was that a one-off?
that was the one. I mean, in the prison there was a few other people that died because like that was related just to the way they handled them. But like in my cell block, that was like the only death as far as I was aware. But I know there was other deaths in the prison.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah, so pretty fucked up, but like not obviously not as bad as like the other prisons, like in Donetsk. Like there's like the black site where a shit ton of people fucking got the shit like fucking beat out of them. Like people died there from like the other guys I spoke to. You know, there's all sorts of fucking shit going on, and you know, there's like rape is used, fucking like murder. Obviously not in regards to myself, but just when you speak amongst people, like you understand like the prison that we're in isn't as bad as some other places where other people have come from.
Mm. And who are they sort of taking to those black sites? Are they like commanders? Are they Azov commanders?
It depends. I know like the other foreigner guys, they were sent to the black site to try and work out who they were exactly from what I spoken with them. So like from what I can figure out, you get sent there if they're not sure of who you are and they want to find out exactly information about you, or if you get caught lying or stuff like that.
Mm. Are you worried about going back and potentially getting caught out and recaptured, or?
Oh yeah, if they capture me again, they'll fuck me. They'll probably kill me if the people that capture me know I was captured before. Obviously, I'm gonna try and avoid it, like because I want to go back in the journalist capacity. Like I'm gonna like just set some base rules down because I'm what I'm planning to do is I'm going back with a team. Like my friend Frat, who I was with in Syria. He was known on Instagram as like Tacticurd, and then my other friend Kawa. So we're going to be working in a 3-man team, and I basically said like the rules are like we don't go to anywhere where there's a risk of encirclement. So if there's a city where there's only one way in and one way out, like we're going to avoid it because that can change in a matter of hours.
Hmm.
So we're gonna like just have some like basic SOPs like that just to avoid anything similar to that. Because like you know the main idea is to go back and film like these like 30-minute long like 30-minute long like videos like weekly, but have in between that also other videos about just interesting like stuff that's going on in the war. A similar bit to like Vice News's dispatches that were like early in the conflict. So we're going to try and like look into creating something a bit more unique, and also because of my background and experience, also to try and build something to like try and bring awareness to the POWs that are still in captivity, like to try and help push for them to get released as well.
Yeah. Have you had like any I guess hate from like the Ukrainian side of you being released or someone else? Has there been any of that?
I say again.
Like, has there been like you being released over like a Ukrainian national? Has there been any flack from that?
Not really, not from what I've seen. I know there's been like hearsay, like where one or two people always like give me. Well, they didn't give me shit, but they were talking shit about me because I surrendered and whatnot. But like, it's been like very small minority.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess how is your health going now since you've been away from it?
I mean, it's good. There's like parts where like I get like a bit depressive. But like I feel like I've been doing pretty all right since I've been back. You know, like one of the best like coping like methods I found for like dealing with trauma, especially having previously had like a traumatic event like in Syria. Like previously, like I was in an airstrike, and for the whole year after that, since that happened, like I couldn't fucking shake off the effect of it, and eventually I learned to like cope with that sort of stuff just by speaking about it, and then it just disappeared. I had no more problems after that, and it was again with this, like the first thing that I decided to do was just to speak about like what I've been through and what I've experienced, because it's like the best way to get stuff off your chest. So like sometimes, like if I'm with a friend, like in the past, I'll talk to him just randomly. If I ever get anxious or anything, I'll just start speaking about the event or something. And I probably told one of my friends like this one story like for like 90 times, just like when I used to get anxious about this like certain event. But like I felt like talking about the trauma is like one of the key ways to like helping to overcome it, and like basically moving on to a degree.
Yeah, yeah. And something I forgot to ask was, how does your family feel about you going back to Ukraine? Because what they would have gone through must have been terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously they would like it if I didn't go back.
Yeah.
Well, like my biggest like counter like argument to that is like all the guys that I got released with, like the guys who aren't injured, like by now they would have gone back to like military service. Like they've had like their 3 week like vacation break, and they will go back to like military service. Obviously, I won't be going back to military service because my military contract like finished on the 4th of October, so I finished like 4 years service. But obviously, because of the conflict in my home, my house is still in Ukraine. Like my fiance's family's like in Ukraine. So there's still like I still need to go back because there's still more that I can do for Ukraine. Like especially with the um, with the attention that I got from this whole experience, I can use it to like bring awareness and like help inform people about the conflict. Because again, there's still a lot of propaganda from the Russian side, and I've witnessed the propaganda like firsthand in the prison.
Mm.
In our prison, like we had a radio that would play like propaganda music, and if it wasn't playing propaganda music, it was playing like Russian propaganda, and you just hear some of the stuff they would talk about, and it was like some of the biggest nonsense. And then you'd hear the civilian prisoners like talk amongst themselves, like from cell to cell, when they were shouting to communicate to each other, and they would like believe some of the craziest stuff, like NATO has like officially sent like 5,000 like soldiers to like Ukraine to fight as like Ukrainian military like disguised. And I was like, Jesus, like how can they actually believe this stuff?
Yeah. Was there any point during, you listening and hearing the propaganda, and then through to them using you to put out propaganda, was there any point where you had almost some Stockholm syndrome and believed some of it?
Probably towards the like later months, because in the first period, I knew it was bullshit, etc. I mean, you saw how I spoke in the first part. Like I was like trying to like slow my words down, like just trying to give some hint about how I knew 100% people that like knew and followed me from my social media beforehand. They would know what my political beliefs and like what my thoughts were on like the Russians and the separatists. So towards the end, like getting to like the third month, I think it was, when we started doing the bullshit YouTube stuff, I eventually just like switched off my brain, and um, I'd say there was like some Stockholm going on, because it got to the point they would tell me something, because it was after the death sentence had been given. So like I got really like bad like mentally, like there was like parts where I was like talking, like just trying to talk to myself. I was like trying to cry, but I couldn't cry because I don't know why I couldn't cry. Like the entire time I was in captivity, there was like one point where I wanted to cry, but I just couldn't cry. Um, and then you'd also have like the trauma from like fucking just the Mariupol part. Like none of us had even processed it yet, and then they come and tell us like you're being sentenced to death. And like I was in basically an information vacuum. I knew people were fighting for us, etc. And then there's like the whole paranoia. Like there's like fucking like one of my biggest paranoias was that the Russians like had bugged all our cells, because it only made sense that they would have some sort of like listening device just to see what people speak about. And like for the vast majority of like stuff, like they would tell me something, and then I'll just start getting like anxious and just start going crazy with myself, just like trying to like argue with myself when they would tell me something, and then I'd be arguing with myself like that. It's not true. Like I don't fucking listen to it, and then I'd be like, there'll be one side of me arguing with myself again, like fucking. So I think there was a bit of Stockholm going on towards the end, which it's like, you know, I got like really bad like mentally. I mean, there's like one point where I was actually thinking about like just fucking like just trying to think of a way to maybe kill myself that wouldn't be so drawn out.
Yeah, so you did consider killing
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was just like the yeah, it took its toll mentally on me. I'm still recovering it. Like, I mean, I'm doing my best to like to get over it and stuff. You know, there's a I think like my biggest I wouldn't say it's not a regret, but my biggest like I can't think of the word. I mean that's another thing. Like I've forgotten my words. You know, being in 6 months, like you barely speak any English. The only time I spoke English was when I did my propaganda stuff. So I've forgotten some of the words in English. I just can't think of what this word is. But there's times where I fucking get depressed or something, because like I always think like people, when I did this propaganda, I'd always think people actually believe the stuff that I'm actually talking about.
Yeah, well, propaganda is very effective on both sides. There's like propaganda, you know, people swing dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when they would tell me stuff like, there was one instance where they would tell me like, oh, Ukrainians are like shelling Donetsk like for no reason at all, even though the day before like they literally drove up a Grad rocket truck like outside our prison, just shot off like 30 rounds and then left, and then like Ukraine responded and like hit around the area where the rocket truck was, and then they would come the next day and says, oh, did you hear like how Ukraine like shelled the prison yesterday, like for no reason at all, like 2 people were killed. I was like, oh yeah, it's terrible.
Do you know anything about the prisoners who were killed by the fire in Donetsk? They were saying that, well, there's 2 sides. The Russians are saying it was HIMARS rockets hit, and the Ukrainians are saying that they pretty much torched and burnt these guys alive in a holding area.
I've heard 2 stories from like 2 people who came from Alenovki to our prison. The first one was that it wasn't HIMARS, it was something else, and then the other one was that it was something similar to what you said, that it was like some sort of like fire or some like internal detonation.
Right. Yeah, I was just wondering if you had any more on that than me.
Yeah, that was like as that's like about as much as I know on that. It was just like from 2 of the guys I met that came through our prison.
Yeah, right. So, you know, to sort of start wrapping it up, when are you looking at heading back into Ukraine? Next few weeks?
Preferably the first week of November. I've still got some things to sort out, and then eventually I'll be heading back there. And then once they get there, that's when we'll start like building content and reporting about stuff there. So hopefully that's gonna develop into something that people can like follow and like tag along on.
Yeah. Oh, mate, we all really look forward to it, and I'll link all your stuff below anyway. So if anyone's looking out for that stuff, it'll be in the description here anyway.
Yeah. What is your plans? Are you going to be heading back?
Look, at some point I will. Look, I've been there since early February. So
Oh yeah,
war. So I've been there and back 3 times, but only because of health for the tumor.
yeah,
To come back and forward. And I've just been away so much this year that I just really need to spend some time at home for a bit.
yeah. That's understandable.
So I've sort of promised myself, unless there was some large escalation or de-escalation, like if they, if there was some end to the war tonight, if there was a peace deal signed or whatever, I'd go. I'd get in a plane tonight and fly. But I was like, unless there's something major like that or NATO get involved or whatever, I won't go back until at least New Year's. I'll spend a few months at home with my partner and live in the house I pay a mortgage on, and then go from there. But I'm also looking into a lot of other avenues and different war zones around the world.
Yeah, it was actually funny because after the invasion happened, I think it was like 3 or 4 days when I eventually got signal or something. I remember the first thing I did was like go on your YouTube channel just to see where you were. So I remembered you were in Mariupol or something like last time I spoke. And I remember watching the video of when you woke up to the invasion, and then you caught the video of the fucking cruise missile like flying overhead. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, man, I was right place, right time for sure. I just remember I was sitting in the vehicle with some journalists that day, and one of them asked me, they're like, do you think Aiden's dead? And I was like, because at that point, man, like, I'm a Western soldier. We have built the Russian military, like the American military. And I was like, well,
that's how I was thinking.
yeah. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I believe at this point that you were dead. Because I thought if this was if this was NATO invading a country, like look at the invasion of Iraq. It was 1,000 missiles in the first like hour or whatever it was. Every trench got hit, everything. Like, how could you not?
I mean, like this whole invasion has been a total embarrassment to the Russian military.
Yeah.
Like they've gone from their reputation has gone from being again on par with the US military to now being effectively on par with any ex-Soviet military.
I know, and I'm still 7 months in. I'm still trying to talk myself out of it because, I am still like ingrained in my system, and it's not from Russia. It's actually from the West. Like the West propaganda needs an enemy. Like if we're spending $1 trillion a year on NATO combined, we need a common enemy. We need to say these guys want to kill us, and they can kill us. Otherwise, it seems like overkill. And, so of course, all into the Australian army, the Mulzarian force who's our like OPFOR who we fight against is based off Soviet and Russian tactics, and they're all as good as us and they can do this and whatever. So even to this day, I'm still like in my head, I need to like remember, I'm like, no, they've fucked this. There is no like, because it's sort of almost like, when is the Russian army coming? And like sometimes they say, oh, we're only sending the reserve. I'm like, maybe that's true. I'm like, no, it's not, Willie. Like, but it just still doesn't seem real to me that you could spoil this invasion this poorly.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest shock was I'd always said that. I mean, I'd been saying for months it's coming. Like I was like watching everything. I knew it was coming. I just didn't expect him to do it so poorly. Like, I mean, the most logical like way of invasion would have been come from Crimea, attack Donbass, Luhansk, and draw the Ukrainian forces to Donbass, and then attack them from the north and take Kiev. But they just did everything at once, and like the tactics they were using were like so like poor and ill thought out. And especially like the equipment side of stuff, like they really showed that they're like so disorganized to a degree.
Yeah, it still, to me, it still doesn't make sense. I'm still like, because what doesn't make sense to me is it seems like every decision has been the wrong decision. And it started day one, the morning of the 24th, when I still had mobile phone coverage and everyone is still communicating by WhatsApp and Signal. And of course, I'm in a journalistic capacity, but I know when I was in the military, fucking half our stuff was still on WhatsApp and Signal or Telegram. Like, it's to be, oh, where are you guys? I was like, it just didn't make sense. I'm like, how was the first thing they're not hit all the communications, all the power, all, I guess they've started doing it now, but they're 7 months in.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is as well, like a lot of the Russians, they see the Ukrainian, well, at least in Mariupol, they were saying like you guys are like professional, like elite, like fucking like soldiers, and I was like, elite, like it's just basic, like they're basic soldiers. Like what do you mean elite?
Yeah.
It's just like, well, you guys like hold out for so long. It's just like, dude, like it's just basic like military tactics.
Yeah, it just doesn't. And like the recent gains in Kharkiv area, I was like, how's this happening? I was like, well, I know, defending land, you easily can defend it 4-1, 5-1, and Russia has the numbers, yet you're
Yeah.
losing massive amounts of dug in area. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
And I think what we're seeing now as well is now they're getting ready to draw Belarus into the I mean, they've already been a part of the conflict, but not directly. Now from what it looks like, they're getting ready to get Belarus to like open a second front from the north, which I think will be used as sort of a feint to launch a counter-offensive in the eastern areas. So it's hard to say exactly how that's going to pin out, and if it's anything compared to like the Russian military, the Belarusian military is like rated one of the worst in Europe. So it's just going to be more cannon fodder if it goes that way.
Yeah. And it's and a lot of people get stuck into me about this, but I'm like, if you leave all political stuff aside and all this other bullshit, it's sad to see young men getting just chewed up in a war like this. Like, these 17, 18, 19-year-old guys who, I'm not saying some of them aren't evil and doing the wrong stuff or fighting on the wrong side of history. Leaving that aside, I'm like, there's, tens of thousands of these guys being used as cannon fodder from politicians who don't give a shit about them for gains of what?
I mean, that's the bad part, because like there's a shit ton of them. There's a shit ton of them that probably like think this whole war's stupid. When I was in the jail cell, we were listening to this like propaganda channel, Radio Sputnik, which is like radio satellite, and there was this like other radio host similar to the propaganda radio Alex Jones type guy, Sylvia. I can't remember his fucking name. He's like a famous propagandist, but it was similar to him. And he was like taking these phone calls on this radio host show, and like this one like Russian guy called in, and he said hello and all that, and then he just started saying like Russia shouldn't be in Ukraine, like it's not our war, it was an internal conflict, like why are we there, like we should leave Ukraine, it's not our fucking like why are we interfering with this?
Yeah.
So there's definitely people that are opposed to like the intervention, but like as soon as that guy said that, like he went straight, like the radio host went straight defensive mode, trying to speak over the guy, and eventually like just cut the call short, and then tried to like talk about how he's wrong and stuff.
Yeah. And do you have any thoughts on where this is going to lead in the next couple of months?
It's hard to tell you. I don't think we'll know until probably the end of the year where it might possibly go. It's like too hard to say at the moment because we're still like pretty I mean, not early, but like it's still like too early to say where it will go at the moment. And it also depends on like what happens internally in Russia, because like even though everything seems good today, like tomorrow there could suddenly be some military action from within the Russian military against the Russian government because of the current situation and stuff like that. So anything's possible. So it's like super difficult to make a guess on what will happen.
Yeah.
Just a quick question as well. Just out of curiosity. So You when you were in the Australian military, what do they teach you in preparation for capture?
Oh God, this is going to test my memory now. I haven't done this for a long time. So it was more use any chance you can to escape, like anything you can to escape. You know, you well know, like you're very in tune with what is sensitive, like classified information or not. And of course, it's like, you know, if you know blah blah blah, depending on your secrecy clearance, what you can and can't say. And then it was, you know, work with them, try and build like some rapport with whoever's captured you. So, you know, try and, you know, because they'll be beating you, they'll do this, and you do this in training. You know, they'll bag you and shoot near you and like shoot blanks off, so it, you know, simulate capture.
Yeah.
And you know, try and build some rapport with your captor. Look for exits, look for this, don't give up hope. Remember your words, because there's like specific phrases, and every soldier's got like an individual one for if there is if someone comes to rescue you, to identify you, because you may be unidentifiable. You know, you might say, "Oh, Matt, what was your first car?" or something, and I'll have a phrase back for that. You know, basic stuff. But yeah, it was basically build a rapport, try and build some personal connection with them, work with them within the scope of your classification, but use any chance you can to try and escape and go from there. Just stay alive.
Yeah. I mean, because that was like probably the. I mean, obviously, like some of the basic stuff that you said, like, is just from like general knowledge, just from like watching like the similar like sort of like, you know, there's Discovery Channel like TV shows about. There was I think I can't remember what it was called. I remember my friend brought it up in the jail cell. It was like some SAS survival show about interrogation. I remember he brought it up, and I remember like briefly like watching it years ago. But like in the Ukrainian military, they don't do any like they don't do any of that sort of training. So like obviously me not being ex-military beforehand, so like Shaun and that, they're ex-military, so they kind of know what to expect and like what's coming. I mean, I knew what was coming to a degree, but like and then there was like the part, you know, because we surrendered, like the entire battalion surrendered, so there was no HQ anymore. Like headquarters was like finished, so there wasn't a need, at least from what I could see logically, there wasn't a need to like try and drip feed information in regards to like headquarters changing things, because there was no headquarters. And then, you know, once they saw us stabbed, it just like went from trying to like not give anything, and then just trying to like survive, in regards to just give them information that was like publicly, like what they could find on Google, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, we're the same. We're the same. You know, zero all your radios, zero whatever, destroy maps, destroy whatever if you have time before capture. And then yeah, go from there. And it was a little bit like, you know, as a regular soldier in the infantry, you know, I know like the SAS guys, the commandos go through a lot more of this. It's almost like if you get captured, you, other than your equipment you have on you, you personally are probably not going to know anything enough to be that useful. They're going to be like, you know, unless you've got a map or a radio loaded with crypto, if you've zeroed that, destroyed your map, that a basic soldier, you're not going to have anything that classified. You're not going to know enough. Like I always say it to people,
Yeah.
you did things. I'm like, I never knew enough or couldn't remember enough that if you captured me and said, tell us about the radio, I'm like, I've forgotten half that shit. I'm like, if I got captured, they're like, here's a Harris radio, like show, I'd be like, legitimately fucking no idea what I'm doing. Like,
I tell you what though, that SAS show I was watching, it wasn't that new fucking reality TV bullshit.
oh
It
yeah,
was an older one. It was an older one from like the late '90s, I think it was. I can't remember what it was called, but I watched it like obviously after I got out, because I remember my Croatian friend mentioned it, and I saw it fucking years ago, and I watched it again, and I was like so surprised like how close everything is in it. Like
Mm.
like literally everything they go through was like literally exactly like what we went through. And obviously when I surrendered beforehand, I did my proof of life video where I told us that we're surrendering and all that bullshit, and called my family just to let them know I'm surrendering. But as soon as I did that stuff, like the first thing I did was, and it was just the logical thing to do, was just to destroy all electronics, and not just like fucking delete it and then just like smash your like phone case. But I fucking made sure to fucking take that thing apart and fucking destroy the hard drive itself, and then scatter everything, and then I shoved the hard drive like down into the septic tank of like this toilet. And when I went to surrender, like all the guys in my company, like all the other Ukrainians that saw, like not everyone, but like a vast majority of the younger soldiers, like they were surrendering. They took their fucking iPhones with them. They took their fucking smartphones. Like some guys were taking like electronics. I mean, obviously nothing you can get from an electronic cigarette, but that was like the type of mentality they had. They were like, oh, I'm going to take this and that. Like, I'm going to get it back. And I tried telling one guy, I says, dude, like fucking destroy your phone. Like just because you think like you're not going to get that back. And he was like, yeah, but it's an iPhone like 13. I was like, dude, it's over. Like you're not going to see it again. And not only that, like there's stuff on that that might lead to someone like getting fucking like in the shit because like you've said something to someone on like a fucking Telegram chat, or you've talked about killing Russians or something with someone who else is going to be captured, and he just didn't want to like listen. And then also obviously my fucking camera equipment and stuff. I was so gutted. I had about maybe like 200 to like 300 hours worth of like footage. I had so many like SD cards, and I had to fucking delete. Like I had to destroy all the SD cards and just fucking hide them so they wouldn't be found. And then I had to destroy the camera and stuff. I was like so gutted. I was like at one point I was like thinking about just trying to fucking smuggle one of the SD like micro SD cards and like maybe hide it in my arse or something.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know how long I'd be in captivity for, and the last thing I would want is for them to like find an SD card and then fuck me and then whoever else is in this like video footage.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it? And it's disappointing, that footage, which would be incredibly eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was like it basically covered like from the first days you could see everything was pretty normal, and then as like it gradually like went on, you could like tell from what I remember, you could gradually see it go from like good to just fucking dog shit, where there's just constant artillery barrages. And then like towards the end when we were fucking surrendering, it would have been eye-opening if I could have got that footage out.
Yeah, mate, I'm sure at some point there'll be a Netflix series on Mariupol. You know, it's like the Stalingrad of this generation in many ways.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely need to make something on it. Even a documentary would be pretty eye-opening. There's like enough like Ukrainians out there with all their stories and stuff, to like tell it like different perspectives from around the city.
Yeah. Well, that's, I guess, the point of this sort of podcast way I'm doing at the moment, now that I'm back home and not in Ukraine, actually reporting, that I can talk to people like yourself and like some others and sort of just get their story, their perspectives. And I know I think my audience get a lot out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, mate, look, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I do really appreciate it. I know every
cool.
network in the world is after you, and Willie here's the lowest of the low.
No, it's cool, bro.
Oh, mate. Well, look after yourself, and we look forward to sort of seeing where you end up.
Definitely. Okay, bro.
Okay, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.